fucking smell is that? And I'm like, oh my god, that's so strong. I only did like a little spray. I haven't had it for years. I thought I'd like it, but it would have gone off, isn't it? Oh my god. I'm crazy to that. That's what we call it, like, yeah, well, you used to go to the shops and like, and it's just so, I forget that we were going to no, it doesn't make it that much. I don't have a clue what you're talking about.
He has a lot of trained results. Maybe
Maybe he'll be in his exhibition, yeah. I do it again. I don't do a lot of noise. I just in the zone, concentrate, get that inhale. Yes, literally, yes.
Hi guys.
Morning.
Morning everyone, I'm with head coach Gareth Taylor to preview the WSL match against Aston Villa this Sunday. We will start with questions from Ben Ransom.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Gareth. I guess a good place to start is the midweek win. Your team showed plenty of resilience again, a late goal coming from behind to win. Now you've had a bit of time to reflect on that performance. Where does it rank for you and what were the big positives to take out of the win?
Positives is that we were in a difficult situation, a difficult moment, on a difficult surface. I think it was probably not very apparent for people viewing the game that actually was quite a difficult surface to play on. It was very dry. There were quite a few bobbles in the pitch as well, so it made it really difficult for us to play our normal free-flowing game, particularly centrally, where they were quite strong and had lots of numbers. But no, I thought it was great. It just goes to show the character in the team. And, of course, at 1-0, after a stunner of a goal from Alana, we were in a really good position to improve on that, particularly with the amount of chances we had. And, yeah, I think we're still growing in this competition. I think it's really exciting because it really is about getting the 3 points and getting it done as easily as you possibly can. And of course we made a few changes because we have obviously a lot of games at the moment and we're trying to manage people's load in the appropriate way. And in some areas we're more blessed than others to be able to do that. So yeah, I have to be really pleased with 6 points after 2 games, and the manner of the performances as well have been very different, but actually a lot of real positives.
Obviously, one more game until the international break. It's a good time to look at that first block of the season. I guess if you win this weekend, you'll look at that and think it couldn't really have gone much better, could it?
Yeah, I was going to say, can we look at it after rather than trying to predict? Yeah, of course. I think it's been a good start. There's no doubt about that. I think it's we set the seeds in the pre-season and in our review and from last season in terms of what we wanted to do as a team moving forward, and we were able to execute a really strong start to the season in terms of being a difficult start. I think we probably couldn't have got much more of a difficult start, if I'm honest. But the way the girls have handled it has been spot on, and yeah, we're slowly now starting to get into our rhythm, and it's been great having the number of games that we've had, which is exciting, and of course we're taking on a competition as well that we've not been in for a couple of years, and that's great. Also, players are really excited about dipping in from WSL game, Champions League game, back into WSL, and of course we have a tough opponent to play at the weekend, who I think are probably not getting the rewards in terms of points from their performances so far. I think they're trying to do some different things there at the club, which I think is impressive, and they have obviously very experienced and recognised WSL players, so I think it's a tough game for us, but we're really pleased to be back in the Joy Stadium in front of our fans again. The last experience we had here was amazing with the support and the game, and we're looking forward to having that again for the weekend, and looking to finish off, like you say, with a strong performance, strong result, and then we can review and say it was an excellent start.
Just one more from me, if I can. Is there anything that you've seen that tells you your team is better prepared this year to compete for the trophies than last year off the back of this fixture run?
Just, yes, because of the experience we had. I think it's so easy to look at a multitude of things, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the outcome of the season is going to be. All I do know is that the players have fire in their bellies, and they have an intensity in their manner that is to try and not necessarily right a few wrongs, but kind of use the disappointment from last season as real fuel for this season. And so hard to be disappointed about last season in a season where we played some exceptional football, went on incredible record-breaking runs, but ultimately at that final hurdle just came up slightly short, and I think that's what we're trying to change. And it doesn't happen overnight. Doesn't mean to say we're going to do it, but from what I've seen and the intensity within the players and the harmony within the players and the determination to do it is really impressive. Thanks, man.
Hi Gareth. As you say, quite a few changes in midweek. Can we get a fitness update ahead of the weekend?
Yeah, we need to check in on Viv just to see where she's at. Obviously, we didn't take her with us, as everyone's aware. We don't think it's an issue that's going to keep her out for too long, so we're yet to train this out. We'll train later today, so we'll find out if she's available for the session, and we'll go from there. But of course, Jill was used midweek again, which was great. Obviously, having played 90 minutes at Liverpool last week, so she comes back into the reckoning for the team at the weekend, and of course we managed to manage some of the players like Bunny. Bunny was always planned to play 45 minutes. We didn't want to not play her at all. I think it's really important that she continues with her rhythm, and some players are slightly different. Kirsten is okay. It was a good opportunity, obviously, again, to be able to give her a rest, because obviously her and Layla are two recognised fullbacks that we have, and obviously with Naomi not being fit at the moment, it's quite a lot of load on those guys. But it was important, obviously, to see Cody and see how she took to the game, which I thought was really positive for her, and she gave a good account of herself, because that's not easy to go away in a Champions League fixture and playing your first ever game. So yeah, there's no other issues outside of that. Everybody's looking good. Like I say, we're checking with a few others when we get to the training session later.
And in terms of the goalkeeper situation, Chiara obviously started the other night. How do you see that at the moment with Ayaka there as well? Yeah, just Yama was an opportunity to play Chiara. She's been obviously training hard, supporting Yama, and we know all about her capabilities.
Yama was just an opportunity. She didn't travel just because you can probably not always recognise actually the amount of work and mental kind of focus that it takes on every single training session. And obviously for someone like herself, coming from a different environment completely, different country, different group of players, I think it was just a really good opportunity for us to be able to shut her down. But of course she comes back into the reckoning for the weekend, and she's been a real positive for us this season so far.
And just finally from me, you mentioned not the perfect start for Aston Villa, but what threats do you think they do pose? Yeah,
they have quality at the top end of the pitch, in the midfield areas as well. Obviously Daly and Dali are good players. They have pace within their team, and of course they have good options in the back line as well. So I think that, like I say, they were changing things slightly from what they do. They try to obviously overload midfields now a little bit more this season than what they've done previously. And obviously when you have a player like Daly, she's always really difficult to play against in counter-attacks. And they, like I say, I think their performances and the football and the quality that they have is probably not shown in their points tally so far. But we know that we don't underestimate any team, and particularly this one.
Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks, Jack. We'll go to Zoom now. Dan?
Hey, Gareth. Hope you're well. Obviously, Oba was on the score sheet in midweek. I just wanted to ask kind of how she's settling in, because obviously 20 years old, we know she's a world-class player, but obviously moving to a different league, the other side of the world, I'd imagine is quite a challenge for a young player.
Yeah, it is. And again, I think we sometimes don't actually really take that always into account. It's so difficult for that transition to many different things, like I mentioned previously with the likes of Yama. And yeah, of course, Yui was slightly different. Obviously another Japanese player, but Yui had been in London for at least a year, so she was kind of acclimatised into the WSL. But I think Alba's done phenomenally well. Is such a talented player, is a great girl, like a great character, very popular with the rest of the players. And yeah, really pleased for her the other night to get her goal. It was a good cross from Chloe and a really good finish from Alba. She was a little bit unfortunate not to get one before then. But yeah, her quality is great. I mean, so sharp in the quick combinations, handles the ball really well, maintains possession really well. And, again, similar to Mary, as a winger that can play on both sides, and particularly when she was playing wide on the left the other night, cutting in is very good, and it causes lots of problems for the opposition.
Just in terms of the international break, obviously it's been a heavy schedule, and I suppose it's no break for the players, but with being in the Champions League, is there anything that you can do to kind of approach that differently, or when the players kind of return, is there anything that you do a little bit different this year?
Well, we're always trying to consider the players as much as we can. It's always like the centre base of what we try to do, and of course where we can we try to give them time away. We also have to be careful there's not an element of under-training, which can be dangerous as well. So yeah, just sometimes shutting the players down is obviously the objective. On the next international break, I think in November, is a real opportunity for us to be able to give them, even those players that are going away, a little bit of time, maybe 2 or 3 days just before that break, because I think that's really important as well, that they're able to shut down a little bit. We do have a couple of players who will probably look at their load management while they go away with their international team. So, Kirsten Kasperai will be one of those. I think at the moment, for her to go away and play, in a 2 or 3 game window for the Dutch is really difficult, and we're having really good conversations with them to try and manage that, because we want obviously the best for the players, and sometimes the best thing for them, as much as they want to play, is almost like not to play. But we don't really want to do that. We don't want to take the games away from them. And similar to the point you were making about us being in Champions League now, it's the less work we do on the training pitch is going to have to be the way forward, because it's really hard to get the gains that you want on the pitch, factor in the heavy load that they have in games and all these competitions.
Great, thanks for that, Gareth. Best of luck for the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Emily next.
Hi Gareth, I hope you're well. I just wanted to ask a bit more about Aston Villa. I know you mentioned their tough start to the season. Do Do you see that as just a blip for them? Do you think that the quality in their side, can get them through and they'll get the results quite soon?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Like I said previously, I think they have some very good experienced WSL players in the likes of Jordan Nobbs. Obviously, Darley's been in the WSL now for a long time. Rachel Daly, Lucy Barker, Patton. There's a lot of experience within that team, and feel that, again, sometimes you don't always get the luck you kind of deserve with their performances. That can happen for various reasons, but there were moments that they had the points in the bag in certain games, and I think more recently the game against Tottenham where they turned it around to go 2-1 up, and I think it was 95th minute Beth England scores. So yeah, they'll turn the tide. I've no doubt about that. I think they have a new identity, a new way of playing, which I think is progressive. So I don't see any reason why those performances now will start turning and transferring themselves into points.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on the timing of this international break. Is it kind of coming at a bit of a bad time, seeing that you're in such a good run of form at the minute?
It's always the question I get asked. I mean, if you're in a bad spell of form, it also comes at a bad time. I think that there's never a good time to have an international break, and I mean that with all my respects, because of course we need to have international football, but from a head coach's point of view, you're either on a really good run or on a not such a good run, and you don't want it to come either way. So yeah, look, it is what it is. I think one big improvement for me is the removal of the September window. I think that allowed us to have a really good pre-season with the players, allowed us to go on tour to Australia, allowed us to really grow those relationships. So I think that was really key, removing that window, because you effectively, I remember last season when we had the international break in September, we started, maybe had one game, maybe two games, maybe one game, and international break. So you just very, very stop-start. I think as much as you never really want an international break to come, I think removing that September one has been really helpful for maybe not just us, maybe for many of the teams, just to be able to be together with the players more.
Great. Thanks, Gareth. Good luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Emily. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.